There's a lot to discuss here, so we're really happy to have you on. Do you think we're at a true inflection point where Bitcoin miners are structurally exiting mining, or do you think this is just a cyclical pressure, maybe disguised as a strategic pivot to AI?
It certainly feels that way. On one hand, as you mentioned, we're at all-time lows for mining economics, and at the same time, miners are looking at what is one of the most exciting industries that they've seen in the form of AI data centers. What these Bitcoin miners really have is very valuable assets. They own land and electricity contracts that are very primed for the pivot to AI infrastructure, and so we do see this as a pivotal crossroad where a lot of the capital and the companies are moving their attention to AI.
And you've long argued that miners are, quote, grid friendly. Do you think that this AI demand is finally validating that thesis, or do you think that it's just really temporarily making flexibility a little more valuable?
We've been screaming this from the rooftops for the past decade or so that Bitcoin miners are a very valuable asset to the grid because of their flexible nature, meaning when the grid has excess demand, Bitcoin miners can quickly curtail within milliseconds and provide the grid much needed relief from a lack of supply and too much demand. Now, what we're seeing with Bitcoin miners leaving the grid is that there's going to be a lot more stress on the grid because when you add AI data centers or other use cases of electricity, as of today, they don't have that same responsiveness, and that's going to cause a lot of issues for grid operators.
And from where you sit, are you seeing a real repricing of mining assets as energy infrastructure rather than pure Bitcoin exposure?
That's been the core theme. So companies like CoreWeave and Crusoe and Iron have kind of been the first out of the gate, showcasing really the difference in valuation multiples between Bitcoin mining, which is a very low margin business, all the way to AI and infrastructure, very high margin and a very hot space right now. And with that success, we've seen a whole wave of Bitcoin miners really go after the same place where they want to get that repricing. They want to be looked at as AI infrastructure players, and the market's really rewarding them for that behavior.
In about 30 seconds here, do you think Bitcoin mining will become a subcomponent of AI data center economics, or do you think that they will still be two distinct industries competing for each other, against each other for the same megawatts?
In most cases, more than not, they'll likely be working together. There's going to be large scale power sites that, for the most of the megawatts being deployed there is going to be around AI infrastructure, deploying the latest NVIDIA hardware. At the same time, the grid is going to want some responsiveness, and they're going to want the site to be able to curtail a portion of their load. And that's really where Bitcoin mining can come in. It comes in on that flexible energy piece. And so, in many ways, they're complementary to each other.